The landscape of American politics is once again shifting, this time centered around the health and future of former President Joe Biden. As of May 2025, Mr. Biden is reportedly confronting a significant health challenge with a recent cancer diagnosis. This news has, quite understandably, sent ripples through the political sphere and among the American public. His departure from the active political stage, prompted by these health concerns, marks the end of a long and impactful career in public service. The circumstances surrounding this exit, however, are layered with questions and complexities that extend beyond the immediate medical realities, forcing a national conversation about leadership and resilience. This situation is not merely a personal one for Mr. Biden, it has broader implications for the nation. Concerns surrounding Mr. Biden's age and perceived physical frailty were not new leading up to this point. Throughout his presidency, and particularly during his considerations for a second term, questions about his stamina and mental acuity were frequently raised by political opponents and media commentators alike. These discussions often highlighted the demanding nature of the presidency and whether Mr. Biden, as one of the oldest presidents in United States history, could adequately meet those demands for another 4 years. The recent health diagnosis has unfortunately amplified these pre-existing concerns, bringing them to the forefront of public discourse with a renewed sense of urgency and gravity. The public deserves to understand the full scope of these challenges. Within the Democratic Party itself, there was a palpable sense of unease among some members regarding Mr. Biden's initial decision to seek re-election. Even before the recent health developments became public knowledge, there were internal discussions and private anxieties about the wisdom of him running again. These concerns stemmed largely from observations of his advanced age and occasional public gaffes, which some feared could make him a vulnerable candidate. The news of his cancer diagnosis has now transformed those earlier private worries into more open and critical questions about the decision-making process and whether warning signs were adequately heeded by his inner circle and the party leadership. The unfolding situation is therefore a complicated one, touching upon sensitive issues of personal health, political strategy, and public trust. The American people are processing not only the news of a former leader's illness, but also the political ramifications that inevitably follow such a development. For the Democratic Party, it presents an unexpected and challenging turning point, requiring careful navigation and difficult conversations. The focus now shifts to understanding the full context of his health, the decisions made, and what this means for the immediate future of the party and its leadership structure, which many feel needs a fresh perspective. A significant point of contention emerging from Mr. Biden's health situation revolves around the transparency, or perceived lack thereof, regarding the true state of his condition. Concerns have been vocally raised by various commentators and even some political figures that the American people may not have been fully informed about the extent of his health issues, particularly in the period leading up to and during his re-election considerations. This debate has been further fueled by the release of an audio recording from Mr. Biden's interview with special counsel Robert Hur. This recording, according to some reports, has ignited more controversy and intensified scrutiny over his cognitive state, raising questions about what was known and when it was shared with the public. The challenge of accurately monitoring and openly communicating a president's health is not a new phenomenon in American history. It has deep and sometimes troubling precedents. For instance, the case of President Woodrow Wilson is often cited. After suffering a debilitating stroke in 1919, the true extent of his incapacitation was largely concealed from the public and even from many in his own government for a considerable period. His wife, Edith Wilson, effectively managed access and information, leading to what some historians have termed a petticoat government. This historical episode serves as a stark reminder of the potential for a president's health to be obscured, intentionally or otherwise, from public view. Another prominent example from more recent history involves President Ronald Reagan. While his public persona was one of vigor, there were later disclosures and much speculation about the onset of Alzheimer's disease during his second term in office. Though a formal diagnosis came after he left the White House, questions persist about his cognitive abilities during his final years as president. These historical instances underscore the inherent difficulties and ethical dilemmas involved in balancing a president's right to privacy with the public's right to know about the fitness of their leader. The current situation with Mr. Biden brings these long-standing issues back into sharp focus for a new generation. These historical parallels highlight a recurring tension between the White House and the public regarding presidential health. The desire to project strength and stability often conflicts with the need for honest disclosure, especially when a president's health is genuinely failing. In an era of intense media scrutiny and rapid information dissemination, the pressure for transparency is arguably greater than ever. The questions surrounding Mr. Biden's health disclosures will likely be debated for some time, contributing to the complicated nature of his exit from the political stage and prompting renewed calls for clearer protocols on presidential health reporting in the future. The Democratic Party is now grappling with the significant repercussions of Mr. Biden's departure and the circumstances surrounding it. Internally, the news of his cancer diagnosis and subsequent exit from active politics has triggered a range of reactions, from sympathy and concern for his well-being to frustration and anger among those who felt his decision to run for re-election was ill-advised. There is a growing sentiment within some factions of the party that a moment of candid self-assessment is necessary. This involves looking critically at the leadership choices made and the communication strategies employed regarding the former president's health. The party faces an immediate challenge in navigating this transition period. With Mr. Biden stepping away, a leadership vacuum is inevitable. This situation compels the Democratic Party to consider its next steps carefully, particularly concerning the development of new leaders who can energize the base. The discussions are likely to involve not just potential presidential candidates for the future, but also the overall direction and messaging of the party. Rebuilding trust and credibility, especially if perceptions of a cover-up regarding Mr. Biden's health persist, will be a crucial task for the party's leadership. Many within the Democratic establishment are now openly calling for the party to explore fresh faces and new ideas. The reliance on established, long-serving figures has been a point of discussion, and Mr. Biden's complicated exit may serve as a catalyst for elevating a younger generation of leaders. This process will involve identifying individuals who can articulate a compelling vision while demonstrating the vigor that the electorate seeks. The party's ability to successfully manage this renewal will be critical to its long-term viability and success. The coming months will likely see intense internal debates and strategic realignments within the Democratic Party. Key figures will need to step forward, not only to offer condolences for Mr. Biden's service, but also to outline a path forward that addresses the concerns raised. The party may need to undertake a thorough review of its recent strategies to learn from this experience. Ultimately, the goal will be to emerge from this period stronger, more unified, and better positioned to connect with American voters on the issues that matter most, ensuring a robust future for democratic ideals. The departure of Joe Biden from the political arena, particularly under these complicated health-related circumstances, is poised to have a substantial and lasting impact on the Democratic Party and the broader contours of American politics, especially looking towards the 2028 presidential contest. The immediate aftermath will likely involve a period of adjustment and recalibration as the party seeks to define its identity and leadership structure post-Biden. Potential candidates who might have been waiting in the wings or considering a future run will now see a more open field, potentially leading to a dynamic and possibly crowded primary season as the next election cycle approaches. This early jockeying for position could reshape alliances and priorities within the party. The way the Democratic Party handles this transition will be critically important for its future prospects. If the party is perceived as having been less than forthcoming about Mr. Biden's health, it could damage public trust and make it more difficult for future candidates to gain traction. Conversely, a transparent and proactive approach to addressing these issues, coupled with a successful effort to elevate new and compelling leaders, could allow the party to rebuild and strengthen its standing. The challenge lies in acknowledging the complexities of Mr. Biden's exit, while simultaneously projecting a sense of forward momentum and a clear vision for the country that resonates with a diverse electorate. Beyond the immediate electoral considerations for 2028, this situation prompts a deeper reflection on the future direction of the Democratic Party. Questions about policy priorities, ideological alignment, and strategies for engaging with an increasingly polarized electorate will come to the fore. The party will need to decide whether to continue along a more moderate path or embrace a more progressive agenda, and how to bridge any internal divisions that may arise during this period of transition. The legacy of the Biden era, while significant in many respects, will now be viewed through the additional lens of his complicated departure, influencing how future Democratic leaders frame their own platforms and candidacies. In summary, Joe Biden's exit from politics is a multifaceted event with profound implications. It is complicated by his recent cancer diagnosis, ongoing questions about his age and mental acuity during his later political career, and the controversy surrounding the transparency of his health status. This situation has historical parallels and forces the Democratic Party into a period of significant introspection and strategic realignment. The choices made in the coming months and years will not only shape the contest for 2028, but will also determine the long-term trajectory and vitality of the Democratic Party in an ever-evolving American political landscape. The path ahead is uncertain, but the need for clear leadership and renewed vision is undeniable.